space. This is a 580 crore investment, I believe.
So we commissioned this facility in September of last year, and we are today working with about more than 12 customers in all the three segments, whether it is juices, whether it is the liquor, or it is the dairy. We are also at a very advanced stage with some of the big accounts, and their product acceptance life cycle period is a bit longer. But given that we've given them a value differentiation in terms of the quality and the differentiation in terms of how the packaging looks with the use of the holographic films, I think we are head for the good times.
All right, what is the kind of opportunity in this market, if you could give us an idea?
I'm not able to hear you. Can
All right.
you be a bit louder?
Yes, I'm just trying to understand that in terms of this new segment, what is the kind of business opportunity or market potential that we can expect?
So I think this is a market which is about currently in India about a 12 billion packs market, and with one single manufacturer accounting for more than about 90% market. So clearly there is a room for the two players. The market is growing at about 20%. I think we seeing some uptrend in the consumption, and the Q1 was really a testimony to that. And I think given that the consumption is growing and FMCG sector we've seen, so if this segment continues to grow at 20%, then the business is actually becomes no-brainer, because as the market expands, as the new brands come in, as the old brands wants to distinguish their premium packaging. So I think we are in for some good times in this business.
All right, fair enough. At the moment, sir, if I may ask you, where does capacity utilization stand?
So currently we are very low on capacity, because we doing more on the trial runs and all that. But I think by the end of this year we'll have an exit run rate of about 50 to 60%.
All right, 50 to 60% is the kind of utilization we're looking at by the end of the year. So far in the second quarter, how has demand played out? Any trends that you can share with us?
So I think the demand has been quite robust. As I've been saying earlier, that the BOPET films business continue to be interesting, with the demand supply equilibrium clearly in favor of more demand than supply, and that has resulted in the prices hardening up. When from 30th June to if I say as on date, the prices are up almost by about 13%. There's a raw material increase also, but not to that extent. So clearly there is a margin expansion in the BOPET business. The volumes on the film side are up by about 9% in the first 2 months. The volumes on the packaging business are up again by 11% on a year-on-year basis for the month of July and August. And clearly, we're seeing that as the consumption story is unfolding, as people are consuming more. So this is the business which is like very safe business to be in, because we piggy bank on really on the growth in the FMCG sector, which has been witnesses very strong uptrends in the last 2 quarters or so. So the volume story continues to do better, and obviously while it means that when the prices are higher for the films, it means a bit of a setback for the packaging part of the business, because they take time. They have a lag effect of passing on the increased price effect to the customers. But I think on a consolidated basis, because we happen to be in both the spaces, packaging films as well as the packaging business. So for us, overall it will be a much better performance in this quarter also. It could be better in the films and a bit subdued in the packaging, but on a consolidated basis we expecting definitely a double-digit growth.
All right, definitely double-digit growth. Even if we see a bit of pressure on the packaging side of things, film side of things will do well. You know, in previous conversations, you had indicated to us that in quarters subsequent to the first quarter, we can expect to see incremental export sales growth. How has that panned out so far? And if you could just give us an idea in terms of the currency depreciation that we've seen, how do you see that impacting your business?
So I think the currency depreciation is not really affecting us, and because we are not major exporter of the films per se, but the players who are in exporting the films, the packaging films, I think they stand to benefit. Yes, for our export business, which is about $100 million, yes, definitely there is a increased realization to that extent. But if you ask me on an overall basis, the prices adjust according to the currency depreciation and the exchange and the changes in the raw material prices, which are again linked to the crude prices. And so to the extent we are impacted only to the extent of our export business from India, which is about $100 million. Plus, as we consolidate our overseas subsidiaries into India, that depreciation effect is surely going to play on the consolidated financials for positive.
All right. So, but in terms of it being a growth driver, any specific targets that you have for exports in at least this fiscal?
So as I said that, we had one major breakthrough in the last year, and we have another major breakthrough in the current year in terms of the exports of some of the special grade packaging films as well as the laminates, the packaging. I think those accounts are increasing the volumes, but a clear uptrend from that will be emerging only by the end of this fiscal. But, the territory is, I can say, is extremely, extremely positive.
All right. Just a last question then before we let you go. If we talk about your CapEx plans, you've clearly laid that out for us. What does that mean in terms of the debt picture? Where will we be closing out the year in terms of debt?
I think we will, by the end of the fiscal, we should be looking at reducing our debt by 10% over the levels what we had in 2018 March. And the first 2 months we've already repaid some of the debts, but by the end of the fiscal we should be looking at about 10% reduction from the last year's level.
All right, fair enough. We'll leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining in. That's Rajesh Bhatia, CFO at Uflex, taking us through the most recent project launch and, of course, product launch and, of course, their plans going ahead in terms of expansion. But with that, we'll wrap it up on this edition of Trending Today. Thank you so much for watching.